Hey guys, it's Liz. I'm going to do a video today on how I code in Bluebeam and what kind of methods I use to write the code, to test my code, to make sure it all works, to debug it, that sort of thing. This is going to be more specific to how does coding JavaScript in Bluebeam, like what's a good process for that. You can find lots of technical resources on how to code, all over the internet. Free Code Camp is one of my favorites. They have a website, they have an excellent YouTube channel, so check them out if you need to learn how to code. But this is, okay, you know some JavaScript maybe. You want to start getting into Bluebeam and writing some code and getting it to do things. How do you do that? If you're used to coding elsewhere, let's say you know some VBA for Excel, they have really great debugging tools that allow you to kind of stop and start and pause your code and see what your variables are at intermediate points. Bluebeam does not have that. Bluebeam's capabilities for programming and debugging are pretty basic. Their text editor is pretty basic. So what do? That's what we're going to go over today. So I have this PDF that Patrick was nice enough to send me, and this came about because he was showing me his digital dashboards and I loved them and thought they were really clever. But he made a comment about how the JavaScript, every time he wanted to add a new department or something, and you come into the JavaScript, you have all this JavaScript and you have to update it in every single button if you make a change or if you add something. And I was like, I can fix that. So I am pretty confident I can fix it. I've got a high level of confidence on this one. So I'm going to do it live. I haven't really dug into this PDF yet. I know where the JavaScript lives. Let me show you how it works. Basically, they've got a floor plan of their office, and this is just a watered down PDF, but all of these highlighted initials, you can see it says broken. This would hyperlink to like a bio for that person on maybe their network drive or something, so that you could click on whoever's sitting here, get a picture, get what department they're in, get a few facts about them. I think that's really neat. I think there was even some like personal facts in there, like they like to snowboard on the weekends or whatever. It's great way to get to know your coworkers, and I thought it was a really clever idea. And you can basically click these buttons for each department, and it highlights where it is on the map and who sits there. And I loved it. I thought it was so clever. So I love seeing what other people are doing in Bluebeam with JavaScript, with anything really. So if you've got something clever that you've done that's really cool, please show me, because I am looking to learn all of the things. Like I said, I haven't dug into this yet. I know where the JavaScript lives. I have an idea of how I want to solve it. I have written zero code for it. I am hot off the heels of solving some other coding conundrums in a different PDF with someone named Isaac over on the U Chapter 2 forums. I will link that conversation in the description of this video if you want to go check that out. We did file sharing, and you can check out his PDF, which is also really clever. But let's jump right into this. I'll try to show you my thought process, show you how I debug, where I write code. I don't just like write it somewhere all at once and then paste it in and hope it works. To me, that's a recipe for all kinds of errors and having a really hard time figuring out where they came from. Real quick, let's go over some of the tools that I use a lot. Let's see. If I'm using regular expressions, I really like this website to test my regular expressions. I have a video on what regular expressions are and how to use them in Bluebeam and why you would want to use them in Bluebeam, so go check out that video. I'm a fan of this particular website because there's this little cheat sheet down in the bottom right hand corner where you can click on, some of these and learn more about what they do, and then see if your regular expression works for what you need it to. Another tool that I use a lot is this, basically a syntax checker. It will do things like tell you if you've forgotten a parentheses, or if you've forgotten a semicolon, or if you spelled something wrong. It should be, match, which is a JavaScript method, and you spelled it wrong, and that's not a real thing. It tends to catch a lot of those things, and you don't have to search for, oh gosh, where did I forget a closing parentheses? This will find it for you. Another thing that I love is this JavaScript beautifier. One of the shortfalls of JavaScript within Bluebeam is that the text editor is just so basic, and it does not look good. So I think you saw that a little bit here. That is not some good looking code. So a lot of times it's not formatted very well. If you've ever written code, things tab or indent to show kind of hierarchies of what you're doing. So this is my text editor called Sublime Text 4, and it looks, look at how good this code looks, and it's so much more easily readable. But if I were to take this and paste it right into here, everything would be right along the left-hand edge, and it would be really hard to read. So instead, I first go to this JavaScript beautifier, right there, and I have all my settings that I like, and then I can hit beautify code, and it puts in all the tabs. And I like my braces, my curly braces with the control statement. Some people like them on a new line, which I cannot stand. So it fixes things like that for me, so I don't have to. Love it. And another thing I'll have up that I'll occasionally use is this code pen. I've hidden the HTML and CSS because we are not doing web design. And this allows me to do a little bit more complicated code. For instance, this code that I was working on yesterday, this regular expression has a variable in it, and I needed to test whether or not that regular expression was working. And rather than do it in the Bluebeam console, I decided to do it in CodePen. I would take my function and put it up here, and then I was setting, let's see, I don't know that I have that on another window. I would manually set this variable and call the function, and I would see what it was doing, and it was just easier than doing it in JavaScript, which you can do, but for what I was doing, this was better. So these are my kind of latest and greatest tools that I've been using that are open whenever I have JavaScript Bluebeam in one window. These are on my other screen. One thing I did notice briefly, so the way this works with these buttons is basically the button is turning on and off the layers. And so you can see on the over here in my layers, all the layers match the buttons, except for this BIM IT button is just BIM up here. And the button is called BIM IT. The button text is BIM IT, so I think I'm going to change the layer to BIM IT. Now, the reason I'm taking a look at this is because if I change this to BIM IT, it's going to stop working. So I have, I'm starting to click on these other buttons, and you can see that BIM and IT are not working like they're supposed to. And the reason is because when you come in this JavaScript, in every single one of these buttons, it's just called BIM. And if I wanted to update it to function, I would have to come into every single one of these and add the underscore IT. And that's what we're trying to prevent. So let's see. To turn on and off layers, let me get a new Sublime Text going. To turn on and off layers, I want to set that in a global function and pass a variable to it. And the variable that I'm going to pass is the name of the button. So I'm going to take this previous code that I wrote the other day. I'm going to delete most of it. Let's see. This is another reason a text editor meant for code is great, because if I click on this curly bracket right here, it shows me that the corresponding curly bracket is there with the little orange underline. So it's really easy to find groups of text. Okay, so basically I'm just gonna start with, no, I wanna keep the loop. Okay. I'm gonna call this button name. This is going to create an array of all layer names, because Isaac likes to comment code, and I like to, but I don't always, and I should. Comment your code. Do as I say, not as I do. I don't comment my code enough. Please comment your code. So yes, this loop will then cycle through each layer and perform a task. So we have our layer list. We're going to have a button name and, okay, yeah. This, I deleted one thing that I didn't want to delete. Okay. Here we go. Button name. So now it's going to cycle through this list. It's going to look at the layer names, and it's for the current cycle of this loop. It's going to look at the layer name and assign it a variable f name. And then I think we're going to say if f name equals button name. And then we're going to turn the layer on or off, which is this right here. So it's going to take that layer list I, which is our current layer name or our current layer that we're looking at, and it's going to set the state to on. Oh, nope, true. True is on. I don't know if it can be that simple. I feel like there has to be more to it. So that's what we're going to put in our global code. So global code. I can test some of this right in the console. So I can take this and copy it, and I can paste it here. And you can see how good this does not look. It's really hard to read and figure out what's going on. But all I want to do for this, I don't want to, yeah. Let's see, name, button name. I want to do something else with this because I took it out of the function. This code no longer is existing within the function. So there's no button name. I haven't defined that yet, so I have to give it something. So I'm gonna say this get field. Let's see, let's do HR. And yeah, we're gonna say layer state equals true. I'm going to copy this to my clipboard because this is where, as soon as you run the code, the code that you wrote kind of goes away. And I thought I knew how to get it back, but I don't know how to get it back. So I just copy it to my clipboard, and then I just repaste it every time. And when that becomes a huge pain in the ass, that's when I use CodePen, and I would put CodePen here. That's difficult because there's no layers in this for it to find. So then you would need to give it some layers. So that's another complexity that you have to think about when you decide to use CodePen. So we're gonna create a list of all the layers, and then we're gonna run through the list of layers and assign it a variable f name if that f name equals this get field HR. So there is a field named HR somewhere. It's right here. This is the HR button. Hopefully they match. And then if it does, it'll turn that layer on. And let me just make sure HR is not on. So where's HR? HR is right there. So let's turn it off, and then I'm gonna highlight this and hit Control Enter. Yeah, see, didn't work. I knew it couldn't be that simple. So instead, layer list, okay, we're just gonna print to the console, state, Control Enter, and that was undefined. Okay, so then I'm gonna back it up a little bit. I'm gonna delete the if. Oh, and I said console.log. Ugh, that's why. It's console. Sorry. Print line, print ln. That's what it is for Bluebeam, still undefined. Okay. So we're just gonna delete these and see if just it'll print if this layer is on or off. Nice. Okay, so that works. It's telling me that it's correctly obtaining a list of layers, and what was my code? It's basically printing them one by one to the console, whether they are on or off. So I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to do that one more time. Oh, need to elevate or oh yeah, delete my if statement. See, this is why it's a pain to try to code in the console. But this is how I go through and just test little by little, and as soon as I get something that works, I add it to my primary code. And it's just this iterative process where I just keep doing this right here. And it might be super boring, and I apologize if it's super boring. But I just want to kind of show how I troubleshoot and show how I build my code. Even that tiny little bit of code that was like, seems pretty simple, it should work, right? It did not. And then you have to go through and figure out why. And sometimes that's really difficult. And I apologize to anybody watching who knows what I did wrong, and you're sitting there yelling at your screen. Let's see, bring this back over. So, actually, I'm gonna make this one. Quick fact, Java and JavaScript are not the same thing. So always make sure you call it JavaScript, because if you search for Java, that's a different language, and you might get bad results that aren't going to be helpful because it is a different language and it works very, very differently. JavaScript, always JavaScript. Okay, so I'm gonna get this field HR. So, oh, that's why I need to give it something. I didn't tell it to do anything. So probably .name. So I'm gonna put this in the console. Just say console.println name. Yeah, and then I printed HR. Okay, so that was probably it, quite honestly, I hope. Let's find out. Layer list.name. False, yes. Okay, so that worked. See, it was something, it's always something simple. And then I feel like an idiot. But that is coding, friends, that is coding. Okay, we're gonna try turning it on. Yes. And then my little HR room here turned on. So then I could just as easily come back here and turn it back off by just changing that to false. And now it turns off. So I know my function works. So this function works. There we go. And then I'm just going to change this width, otherwise it's going to drive me crazy. Okay, so we have button name, button name. Okay, so I'm pretty confident in this. This is going to be our global code. Let's name this something else. I'm going to name it department. Okay. Put that there. Say update department. So there's my code that I just wrote that appears to be working. And then I found the other day, I have so many windows open, I have to go find it. No. Found it. Nope. Wasn't that one either. There we go. Found it. Okay. I want my local code. I found this the other day. If you use this event target name, it gets its own name. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay. This is my handy dandy tester. I'm gonna make a button real quick. So this is button 2. I'm gonna come over here, add action, JavaScript, and say button name, doesn't really matter. But this event target name is gonna get the name of the button, and then I can console.print line button name, and then click OK. And now when I hit this button, hopefully, yep, button 2 prints to the console. So I could like name it something else. Super sweet button. And then I can hit that and I don't have to update the code with the new name of the button. It automatically gets that name. And this is why it's important in here that the layers match the button names, because we're going to use this feature. So let's try our HR edit. Okay. Put this here, find my thing again. Okay. So this is going to assign button name, and then I'm going to call my function called department, and I'm going to pass to it button name. So earlier when my code first didn't work, it's because I didn't have a .name on the end, but this already has it because I already used it and I already know it works. So that's my code there. And again, I ask you, could it be this simple? Is it going to work? It does. See, and then you celebrate, and then we do a little dance. And that's basically, what did I do? I did HR, yeah. So now I just take this code and I put it in every single button, and that's it. Whenever they add a new department, or if they want to change the name of the department or whatever, they don't have to do anything. They just make sure that the name of the button over here in the form fields matches the name of the layer, and it'll do that all on its own. I do need to do something to turn it back off though, because you'll notice the primary, one of the primary functions is that as soon as I hit a new department, the other department turns off. And so that will go in my global code. And this is slightly tricky because if you'll watch the layer visibility over here in the layer list, as I click these buttons, the BIM IT is not turning on and off because we messed with that earlier, first in the video, if you recall. But other than that, oh, see, yeah, the HR button's not turning off the other buttons because it needs that functionality still. But buttons in plan up here at the top are always on. So when we write a function to turn the other buttons off, it will need to not touch the buttons or plan layers. Okay, where's my code? There's my code. Okay, so this bit turns them on. Now we need a bit to turn them off. And even with all of my talking, I am pretty impressed I figured that out in a half an hour. Go me. I think I said in my previous video, I'm like an intermediate programmer on my best days. On most days, I feel like an idiot, but I am a tenacious idiot, so I get it done. Okay, so we've turned on the layer, and now we want to turn the rest of them off. I'm gonna do an else if, because we want to turn that button on, and then I want to say if fname does not equal buttons, or fname does not equal plan, then turn it off. Okay. Paste that there. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Did not work. Fname is the layer name. The layer name does not equal buttons. I don't think that's gonna do it, but you never know. Nope. Okay. So here's where my console troubleshooting comes in. Okay. I'm gonna do this, console. I know it doesn't matter, but I just need to make it look as best I can. Okay, print line, layer list. Oh, no, yeah. See, it looks like that because they're objects. They're not, I don't know. It doesn't let you look at them. But here, okay. No, what did I do? Right here. This is some code I made earlier. Oop, that's right. Backspace. Oh, okay. And that's why it didn't work. I need to just delete this. This is something I was using for testing earlier. There we go. I did this because I want to see what the list actually is. I have buttons. Okay. So if I do this again, I can say, let me just change. No, I don't feel like updating the other ones. Okay. Parent console dot print line parent layers 0, which will get the first. Actually, let me put that back. that should get the very first item in the array and bring it back to us. And I believe it was plans. Yeah, plan. And it did not want to print the whole list. That's okay. So then I want to test if this is equal to plan. I'm going to keep the original just so I can make sure that it's what I think it is. Plan and true. So they do match. So either my logic is funky and I'm getting a little dyslexic in my global code, or something else is wrong. So my parent layer did print plan, and when I test parent layer, or my, the first item of the layers list was plan, it did equal plan. Let's push this in here. And put that there. I'm just going to comment these out just so they don't print, but I don't have to retype them if I want them. I'm going to copy it to my clipboard because that's what you got to do every time. True, 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 true. Oh, see, they're all matching, which it should not. Oh, no, that's why. Duh. Oh my gosh. That needs to be an I. See? Being silly. There we go. Yeah, so the first one matched. Okay, so the difference between parent layers. No, I still don't want that. What do I want? I want this right here. So the difference between the parent layers is that the parent layers is an array. And so when JavaScript makes that array, it's going to turn all of those layer objects into text, into strings. So the string is matching this string. So what I'm testing for now is if I get this layer name, and this is like the layer object. It's not the text in the array. It is the actual layer object. And we're going to compare its name to plan to see if that works. And it did. Good. So that means that I can compare a layer as an object to some text, a string, and it will do what I think it's going to do. Oh, let's look at this again. Not this one. This is why you shouldn't have this many windows open. Just, it gets confusing. Okay, f name is the layer name. If the layer name equals the button name, we're going to turn it on. If it doesn't, let's see. Let's do and. That's probably where my logic is faulty, maybe? She said questioningly. Oh. Did that work? I think it did. I think I just needed the and. Okay. Let's come down to HR, which is the one that has our code. We're gonna copy that. And we're just gonna put it in every button. Let's do a few. Let's not do all of them right this second. You can see what a pain in the ass this would be if you need to update one thing. You have to do all these clicks to like update them. Yeah. Heck yeah. Look at that work like it's supposed to. Sweet. Okay, that looks pretty cool. I might do one more thing to this, in that I was thinking maybe if you click it again, it could turn them off. So it'd be like back to like kind of like just a blank floor plan. I don't know. I'll think about it. I might add that. I might not. But this is how I go about writing some JavaScript for Bluebeam. These are the tools that I use and the process that I use. And I hope that helped. I hope you got some use out of this and it wasn't just super boring watching me stumble through, or maybe it was super relatable and it makes you a little more confident in your own abilities, and that if I can do it, you can do it. So reach out on LinkedIn, check out my website. I'll put that in the link or in the description as well. And yeah, I hope it helped, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks.